All right, guys, welcome back. This is Long Dark Interloper. This is Ash Canyon, starting out in Ash Canyon, starting out in the hardest spawn, which is right up here at Broad Falls. Okay, so there's always about three, sometimes four wolves down there. What we're going to do is we're actually going to draw their attention. They're going to go around and then we're going to goat down like this. And that's always been the cleanest way. Broad Falls is a pretty difficult start. Oh, crap. That's very, very unfortunate to have that already. Is that wolf still on me? Oh, jeez. That wolf is still aggroed. That's very unfortunate. Well, so that happens. And now we can't get up these stupid snowbanks. So we're going to try to walk. We're going to try to outwalk this wolf. Um, I've been able to do it before. We'll see if it works. Generally, you don't get a sprain, and then you sprint from here to the angler's fishing hut. That's not going to work because we got a sprain and we're not allowed to run. Otherwise, it's a clear day, which is good. It's a very cold day. Okay, it looks like we dropped aggro, so that's good. Looks like the wolf leashed. Okay, so we'll limp along here. We'll grab some cattails. There's also a guaranteed tomato soup spawn right up here. It's been here every single time I've come by. And it's right up here on this hill next to this fire barrel. Right here. Yep, it's there every time. Okay, all right. We'll just gather some twigs. See if we can gather some old man's beard, if we can see any. And then we'll go inside the angler hut. Now, as of a recent patch, it would seem that the angler hut now has guaranteed matches. That did not used to be the case. So this run is designed to go from here to Timberwolf Mountain. I've tested a bunch of different runs off stream, and it was the only run that I was successful at surviving. My previous run, unfortunately, I got frostbite on the way back, and there was just some bad decisions on my part. And I could have kept going. I mean, frostbite doesn't end your run; it just drops your condition a bit. But I decided I'd rather attempt to just do another cleaner run. So we're just going to keep gathering. We want to get some stones. We're going to need stones for distraction for the wolves. Because the route we're going to take, aside from gathering here, is we're going to hit the angler fishing hut. We're going to do a little bit of prep. And then we're going to go to Timberwolf Mountain, which is a guaranteed match spawn. With the assumption that Angler Hut is not a guaranteed match spawn. That said, I think it is. It's not official. I haven't seen any official patch notes that have documented that, but everything I've seen as of a couple weeks ago when there was an update is that there is a guaranteed match spawn in the Angler Hut. Now, there didn't used to be, which is why this run was so difficult, because you couldn't really stay here. You couldn't get water. So you needed to go to Timberwolf Mountain and go to the Mountaineer cabin where the guaranteed matches are. And you had to do that in order to not die of thirst, because that was the closest guaranteed matches. The huts up, I'd say upstairs, but the huts out past High Meadow, the Miners Folly area, those don't have guaranteed matches. And you cannot always make it from here to there. Sometimes you don't have the energy. Sometimes you get frostbite and hypothermia. If you get hypothermia and you didn't find any matches there, that's the end of your run, because you'll die of thirst and you won't be able to make it elsewhere. right, let's go inside the angler fishing hut so we don't just continue making or taking cold damage. Okay, so let's check the guaranteed match spot. Yep, right here. So I don't believe that was a match spawn before. I've also seen matches right here on the shelf. Not this time. Dog food. Fleece mittens. Wow, that's an incredible find. That's very rare. What a great item, though. Let's go ahead and take a charcoal. Let's take a coal, some of this reclaimed wood. There's always 2 arrowheads in here, which is kind of nice. Grab the simple tools, this piece of cloth, which we can use to make bandages. Looks like there's a summit soda. Okay, this is not too bad. Get some books for starting fires. It's not quite noontime yet. Let's go ahead and see if we can craft a bandage. Oh, we're going to take some cold damage because we didn't start a fire in here. But this is a run assuming we don't have matches yet. That's kind of our strategy. So what we will do is go ahead and apply the bandage to fix our sprain. We're going to sleep to warm up. A couple hours just to warm up in the bed because until we get better clothes, the cabin is not above freezing for us. Okay, so that'll fix our hypothermia risk and our frostbite risk. So that's good. Now we need to make the run to Timberwolf Mountain. Because if you remember, the assumption is that this is not a guaranteed match spawn. So we've got to head to Timberwolf Mountain. Let's check the weather. Should be able to just go straight there. It's a bit cold. Now, the guaranteed tomato soup will stave off our thirst issues for a little bit. But I'm just thinking, can we actually make it when we're this cold with the wind blowing the way it is? I'm not sure that we can. I'm really not sure that we can without frostbite all the way to Timberwolf Mountain. So I'm thinking, you know what we might do? We don't want to rest more, especially because we're going to have thirst issues. But this is not a good storm. All right, let's just go back inside for a second. Let's eat the tomato soup can. And I'm trying to leverage things that are guaranteed to help anybody that starts on this map. So like, I don't want to count the soda as water because you're not always going to find that soda. It's pretty rare. You will always find this tomato soup though. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and smash this open and we're going to eat the soup. And we're going to do that just to give us some additional thirst. And then we're going to sleep for another couple hours. Oh, we're not tired. Okay, let's pass time for a couple hours. Let's hope the weather doesn't get significantly worse. And if it does, we're just going to go anyway. All right, so we healed our risks again. Okay, good deal. All right, still, so we're not going to be going against the wind. Okay. Now, we're not going to stop to get any additional cattails. We'll get the cattails when we come back. This is purely to get us to Timberwolf Mountain in a reasonable amount of health where there's guaranteed matches as a guideline for anybody that starts there. Just because I struggled with this quite a bit. In fact, I went through, gosh, I don't know, 7 or 8 starts where I was consistently on this map starting in this location, and I kept trying to make it with the rope climbs and things like that, and I couldn't make it work. And you know, I wanted something that was consistent that would be able to help, you know, other players out there that might be trying to do this run. So I'm throwing the rock to distract the two wolves that patrol right here. I'm not sure. Okay, so it gathered that one's attention. Okay, let's throw another one. Oh, that was too close. Let's throw this a little bit further. Okay, that was a good one. Okay, now we'll just slip by and run, and they won't catch us. So that's kind of my go-to strategy for those two wolves there, is just using rocks. Now there's two more wolves up here, and sometimes they're right by the waterfall. So you need a strategy for dealing with them. Usually I'm able to kind of sneak up like this, and they're usually not too close. I'm going to crouch here just in case, because I think we threw all of our stones. Yeah, we did. Actually, I'm going to change the audio option here just real quick. Okay, that did not do what I expected it to do. That's all right. I'm sure the volume's coming through fine. Actually, I'm going to check just to make sure because I don't want to have to record this again. Actually, it looks like the sound is not coming through, so let me see if I can fix that. Okay, there we go. I'm not seeing the wolves here, which could mean they're further up. So we want to make sure that we've got enough energy for a big sprint, because they're usually right there in that isolated. Hopefully we won't get another sprain. Very unlucky. Still not seeing those wolves. Ah, god damn it. Really? That's ridiculous. Oh, it's just on the hand. Okay, it's just on the hand. I'm not going to worry about that right now, though. As long as we can run. Don't worry about the pain just now either. Now there's a fishing hut coming up. There's usually not much there. I've found a storm lantern there before, a piece of coal, piece of wood, stuff like that, but it's not, I mean, you can occasionally find something really good there, but it's not dependable. Twigs, because part of the strategy for going all the way to Timberwolf Mountain is you need to be able to create a very long fire, and I've gotten stuck there by back-to-back blizzards before, and when that happens, you're scrambling for anything to keep a fire going, just because the mountaineer cabin doesn't have any reliable heat because it's technically outdoors. So you basically have to make a fire long enough to cover your sleeping, and if you don't do that and you try to sleep, you'll just die in your sleep, freeze to death. It's an unfortunate way to end it. Alright, now I have found some good things in this box here before. Okay, we got a scarf there. I found matches there before too. So it seems that it's a pretty good, item spawn. We're just going to go ahead and run some sprint. See, our thirst is getting kind of dangerous now. and that was with the guaranteed tomato soup we got. But we're doing okay. We're doing okay on tiredness, which is important. I will grab, there's going to be some rose hips and some reishi mushrooms coming up. We'll grab a little bit just as something that we can heat up to then drink and give us a warmth bonus for some of the journeys that we're going to be taking. Particularly coming back to the angler hut and going from the angler hut to the mining town area. That's a pretty tough run, and it's tough to make that without frostbite. Some reishi mushrooms, should be some other rose. So I think 3 bushes and 2 mushrooms are enough to take us. Our objective is to get out there ASAP. Usually some good clothes. Is often a tool in the mountaineer cabin. There's some rope. I usually leave the rope there because any rope that we need in Ash Canyon, you can usually find in Ash Canyon, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's transition. Definitely want to grab some of the cedar wood that you might find right here at the entrance. Grab the twigs. We're in a bit of a race against the clock right now. We do not want to go out of our way harvesting anything because we do not want to get frostbite or hypothermia. Especially when we get frostbite. Although I think because of our gear, we might actually be okay. Yeah, we have hypothermia risk. We don't have frostbite risk thanks to the gloves. But, I mean, you're not always going to find those. And you're not going to find enough cloth. Sometimes you'll find a sewing kit, but you're not going to find enough cloth to craft handmade gloves and hat. So this is a run you've got to be able to make with a certain amount of speed in order to try to get to Timberwolf Mountain, the Mountaineer's Cabin, without getting frostbite. So that's kind of cool. But it's, in terms of weather, we've actually been pretty fortunate. It's really cold, but at least it's nice and clear. That's not always the case. Blizzards before. I mean, if it's a full-blown
nothing
blizzard,
to drink.
There's nothing you can do. I mean, you can try to wait it out and hope that the weather clears out, and then if it does, make the journey. But you know, I mean, sometimes the RNG of the game, it's just going to end your life. You might spawn at night in a full-blown blizzard, and it may not abate before the next day when you've got to make the trip out here. If that happens, well, that's game. But we're going to make this one. And there's the bear. Just need to give him a wide berth. Go ahead and burn some sprint to get up here. About halfway. This hill, that's enough distance from the bear. Not too worried. I don't have to worry about small brains that, for whatever reason. This run seems to want to give us more springs, so we gotta be careful. Alright, Crystal Lake's gonna be just over the hill there. Go ahead and burn some more sprint. Excuse my cough. I've been sick with something. Oh shit. Some more bunnies. Okay. Well, there's a deer there, so that's good. The wolf's locked on, but there's a deer and there's some bunnies. And that can help provide a distraction. In fact, the wolf is probably going to run that theory. Yep. Here's toast. Most likely. Let's go ahead and that's the pond wolf, or the Crystal Lake wolf. And he's all the way over here that time. Oh yeah, he's stalking that deer. Let's go get that deer. So we can check, see what's in here. Firewood, storm lantern. Awesome. Normally I don't stop here first because the wolf is out here, but given that the weather was reasonable, I thought it would be okay. I'm just gonna turn around there. Alright, let's sprint on up to Mountaineers Cabin and get the fire started. I saw a hammer. There's the guaranteed matches. Okay, let's use a book. Cattail head. Let's do this. We don't have any torches yet. But so this is kind of part one. This is successfully getting to Timberwolf Mountain.
Fire.
Getting the guaranteed matches here. And starting up the fire. That's kind of our goal here. So let's go ahead, put some of these sticks in. Warm this place up. And let's get some water going. Oh, even more matches. Excellent. Sand kit, soda, book, some cloth, newsprint. Sometimes, oh, yep, I see it. There's a soda back there. And
could end up being useful.
Yeah. Okay. And it looks like we made it just in time, too. Now, we did get the sodas, and we could drink the sodas to solve our thirst issue. But I don't want to do that, because they're not always going to be there. Matches here are always going to be there, so making this run, we can theoretically always get here from Ash Canyon. That's kind of this run. Alright, so we're going to be here for a while. So I think what we'll do is wake up some crates. While we just hang out and wait for our water to boil can by can. Let's get water. I was just curious. Plenty of wood, but you're always going to need that to survive.
I can eat a horse.
It's good.
Hope nobody needs this anymore.
Okay. Sorry about that. I had to step away for a moment. Antiseptic. Okay. You don't find antiseptic very often. That's interesting. Got the bandage, but we don't need it. We do need to go ahead and get some of our teas crafted. Because we're going to need that for traveling. 2 hours in the fire, so we're good. Prepare rose hip. Okay. Sometimes you'll find a pot in here or an angler's hut, so cooking water's a lot faster. Since we only have a can right now, it's a little slower, but that's okay. That's not a problem. We may need to get some more wood for the fire in order for us to sleep for 10 hours. Let's take a look at some of our other crafting options. Head wrap. It really might be worth crafting that. I mean, we have a sewing kit, and we could attempt to repair some of our really bad off clothes, like this sport vest. But we're probably just gonna fail, unfortunately. It's not even that good. So that's actually one of the worst warmth items. Even with fully repaired, it's just not great. Whereas we could possibly craft ourselves a hat, which would give us a lot more warmth. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to fast time this water here because I don't want to have it boil away. We'll go ahead and start some more. 2 hours left. Let's go ahead and just craft that head wrap. Just right now while we can. Look at the stats on that. I mean, the value we got out of that cloth, guaranteed, no failure, was quite a bit more than trying to repair that vest. Let's boil some more water. That's not great. It takes a while going can by can like this. Let's go ahead and add some fuel here. I mean, we're going to have to add the fuel no matter what, because we're going to stay the night. So I'm just going to dump it all in. That's going to give us 8 hours. And we do have the option to spend 2 hours to break this down into 6 reclaimed wood. I don't remember what the math is on that. I'm sure somebody that's a bit better at the game has a good idea of that. But it's not great. Like you don't get, you know what I mean? Like the time spent breaking that down with the hammer, which we can only do because we found the hammer. That 6 wood, it's kind of offset by the warmth time that we had to burn. You know what I mean? Like it's going to take us 2 hours to chop that up, and I think it's going to take about 4 pieces of reclaimed wood to equal 10 hours. So you really don't get the full value out of that in terms of your net gain. But, I mean, it's there. It's an option. I've had to use that option before. But what I want to do is just twig hunt here a bit. Out that way is to get to Pleasant Valley. It's the landing gear. And a couple other places. I've never found anything before I get there. I don't think that's where the big one is. We'll just hit it. I haven't had any issues with wolves up here in this area that I'm at. Not unless you've caught their attention prior. It just hasn't been a problem. There's some bunnies that you can try to catch and stuff like that here. I haven't found it to be really worth the effort I suppose you could take the time if you needed to pull some guts out and have them
Making my
cured
head
here
feel thick.
for when you came back. So you'd have a cured gut and a cured hide. But it's certainly not an option to carry with you because you'll never make it through the wolf choke, or at least not easily, because of the smell. You know that smell attracts wolves. So we're just gonna remove some of those blades. Decent amount of twigs. And if you're really desperate, you can break some of these branches up. We got a lot of them to
Too
spare.
cold to think.
We don't. We're not going to do that. Oh, there's a couple of those. Interesting. Right there. Let's head back.
Stomach feels like an empty pit.
One up there. Let's take a look. How's our energy? Do we have enough to sleep 10 hours? I'm not sure that we do. So you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I want to be able to sleep 10 hours. And I think we have enough wood to sleep 10 hours. So we're definitely going to break this bench down. I was thinking about maybe just breaking this shelf down to give us to drain our stamina a little bit, in addition to giving us some fuel for the fire. But I think I'll leave it up. We've got enough wood to last us. So here's what we'll do. We've got a decent amount of water. So let's go ahead and... There's pretty much always a can of dog food in the angler's hut somewhere. So we're going to go ahead and eat that for some of our calories. We'll use cattails for the rest just to get us ready for our slumber. And we'll get ready to turn in for the night. And depending on how the morning is in terms of weather, we'll look at taking the trip back to Anglers. And then from there, we got to figure out, do we need to stay the night there? Or do we take the trek up to the Miner's Folly? Okay, 10 hours and 30 minutes. All right, let's go. 10 hours. Let's get some of that condition restored because we're going to need it. Okay. We got a decent amount of condition back.
I've never been so hungry in my life.
We're going to sip just a little bit of our water. And let's see, how's the morning look? Oh, it's nice and still. It's going to be cold, but it's nice and still. Perfect. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to cook our rosehip tea. We'll drink it, get ourselves a nice little warmth bonus from it. Let's drink our water. Pick up our can, and let's start taking some torches. We're going to get ready to move on out. We're going to go back to the Angler's Hut. There's another YouTuber. His name escapes me. Dave Mick something. And he's got a good Ash Canyon run that you should totally check out. Okay. We're going to leave the mountain rope here. Alright, let's venture through a good amount of twigs. This worked out pretty well. I did this run last time it was off stream. I messed something up, so I wasn't recording. When I did this run the last time, I got back-to-back blizzards here. So I had that blizzard at night. And then after that, unfortunately, there was another blizzard pretty much just right after. And so it was a real scramble to find enough material to not freeze and to just try to wait it out. Because the prospect of trying to navigate this and in a blizzard and get to back to Ash Canyon, it just wasn't gonna happen. The torches are nice. You can use them to keep wolves at bay. So they're nice for that. They will also allow you to not be immediately charged by a wolf that might have noticed you from over a snowbank or a rise or something like that. So you might be strolling along and not even realize that there is a wolf just on the other side that has caught your attention. And come face to face with it, and thanks to the torch, you will be charged. So it's just a little tidbit. I've had that save my runs more than once. My last run that started very successfully, right after I'd completed my forge run and gotten back to Pleasant Valley, I went Pleasant Valley, Coastal Highway, Desolation Point. And, I thought the run was going pretty well. I had just made my weapons. I had a bunch of stuff curing back at Pleasant Valley. And I got killed by a wolf.
So hungry.
Right around a snowbank. And I had probably about 90% condition. I thought that a weapon and that much condition with some decent clothes gave you a really good chance of beating the wolf. Well, let me rephrase that. I thought that much condition with a wolf struggle meant that you basically wouldn't be killed. Not the first go. And I was wrong. I was curious if the wolf got that deer. And I thought it was just over these hills somewhere. Kind of expected to see the carcass. That's alright. You don't want to dawdle. I would find that torch out. That's alright. Now we'll go ahead and burn the sprint here just to get where we want to go faster. You do have to be very cautious about burning sprint meter when you're going from Angler Hut to Miner's Folly. You really want to have a full bar of stamina. You do not want to make any stops that you don't have to, even to get warm, because usually you're going to be running out of stamina once you make that long journey all the way up. Once you're up, you can go down to Homesteader's Respite. You can drop a rope down, and then you got a shortcut from the little bitter marsh area up to the homestead cabin, and you don't ever have to worry about that crazy trek again.
Goddamn freezing.
Just gonna keep hauling at us. How are we on stones? 5 stones. Let's see. I'm okay with burning a good bit of stamina here because we're not going to make any climbs, and we're going to spend the night on our side. Okay, back in canyon. So far, so good. Weather's pretty good, especially for the morning. It's even fortunate there. You know, there might be a shortcut here that we could just go down. Never actually attempted it. Never actually even investigated it. But I'm always wary because sometimes you go exploring goat areas. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. I was going to say sometimes you go exploring goat areas and you go too far and you can't get back up, but you've realized basically you go peek over the edge and you realize you can't get down easily. But now you got no way back up and you're stuck. And I had that happen and ruin a run when I was coming back from the gold mine, and it was pretty frustrating. I thought it was an area that I could go down, and I kind of peeked over the edge, and you know there were some rocks that were about, I don't know, 3 feet tall or something like that that I couldn't get over. It's one of those mechanics. It's a little silly, right? Because you know some of these ledges, it's like, okay, come on, I can climb my way over that. We're not a silly little infant that can't do anything. I understand for gameplay reasons. You know, like something of this tall, yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, we could even probably jump and grab that. But you know, like this, for example, you'll get now. You know, granted, you can probably goat up this like I just did there, but that's just a good example. There are areas like that that you just be stuck. You just gotta go down. And sometimes there's just no good way down. Goating is an art form in itself. So the other thing I do like to do is so we've made our run to Timberwolf and we got matches, right? So one thing I'll do is I'll come here to Bitter Marsh and I'll just stop and warm up so we don't lose too much condition. And I don't know at this point if that's really a great strategy in terms of do we really gain anything out of it. I haven't tested it enough, you know, to otherwise just keep going. But if it helps keep hypothermia at bay, then you know what? It's worth it. And later on in the game, you know, when you're making long journeys, you have to make stops to warm up. It's just not
Fire's life out here.
Okay, so let's add sticks. Sticks are one of the best ways to warm up. And let's go ahead and get our mushrooms cooking. And I'm not sure. Let's see. What's our feels like? Feels like 29. Okay, so not much further. Let's get this fire above. Okay, there you go. Let's go ahead and drink that tea. In the interest of just not losing unnecessary condition, we're going to go ahead and eat some of our cattails. Just because, you know, we're kind of low, and we're going to be kind of low for a while. You know, we're not going to be healed up to full with tonight's rest. So we need to be mindful. We don't want to lose too much because you need some condition to spare to get up to Miner's Folly. It's just how it is. So let's go ahead and melt some more water. And we're going to stay here near the fire. And the reason why we're going to do that is because if we go out there and try to get some more twigs or anything like that, we're just going to keep reducing our warmth threshold. And the goal here is to warm up. That's really what we're trying to do.
I'd eat anything right about now.
It's getting a little foggy. Warmed up a bit. Let's take some more torches. Let's head out. Okay, perfect. Right up there is the Homesteader's Respite. And at some point when we have our climbing rope set up, it'll be a nice little shortcut back up there. I mean, it costs you a good bit of stamina to do it, as any climb does. But it's a lot better than the long route that we're going to have to take tomorrow. So let's just take our time, grab some more cattails. I mean, one of the advantages of this zone of Ash Canyon is the ridiculous amount of cattails. And, you know, the cattails are just such an incredible item for interloper runs. They're just, their food value is so good. Now, we're using the torch as we come up here on the Two Wolf area. It's a defensive option, but it's a bit of a mixed bag. So the torch will prevent us from just getting surprised and killed. That's the plus side. The downside is it sort of eliminates our stealth capabilities, at least as far as I know. Which means sneaking becomes less of an option. So if we encounter a wolf, it's, you know, it's a bit of a commitment. Whereas if we were going with stealth the whole way,
Need to find some place to escape this cold.
we could just use rocks as a distraction. And it looks like these wolves are just not here. So it could be that they just haven't spawned in this run, or it could be that they're just roaming elsewhere around the map. Usually they hang right out there, basically right there on that lake. They come pretty close to this waterfall. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't practiced the art of using torches to bypass wolves. I use them a lot in Coastal Highway because they can sneak up on you on snowbanks and things like that, and you won't see them, and this prevents you from just sudden death, right? But when it comes to trying to get past wolves in a situation like this, I tend to prefer just being sneaky. So I think what we'll do, I mean, they haven't spotted us. If we try to confront them, remember, we got to go past them. So in a place like Coastal Highway, you don't have to go past the wolves.
I need to find food.
You can just, you know, go the other way, right? And in those situations, torches are fantastic. But in this situation, where we need to go further out and then to the left, that's not going to help us, because you can't just approach wolves effortlessly. Attention. Whoa, it didn't catch their attention. They didn't even go and investigate, did they? They were busy howling. Okay, now investigating. And we'll move. And they'll probably see us. And they did. But if they did, it's okay, because we've got But trying to get through that little choke with a torch means you've got to go forward. Now I know that you can use the torch and rocks to kind of scare them away, but when you've got multiple wolves that you're dealing with, I just feel less comfortable, and I haven't tested it enough, so I don't feel like I could reliably do it, and I'd hate to have to run it. And also because I'm a bit OCD about my interloper runs, I like to choose the interloper option and just keep loading until it gives me the spawn that I'm looking for. And I know that's ridiculous because you can go into custom, but I just don't know if I trust that custom is the exact same. I know, for example, you can fit in a lot more feats, so you can choose custom with all of the interloper options, but you will still have the ability to take more feats. So I just opt not to go that route. Okay, how are we doing? We need to crash here for the night. Okay, we have enough clothes that we're above freezing. That's great. There's no cloth to break down here, unfortunately. There is some reclaimed wood that we can break down. Oh, metal container. I don't think
I'll be hungry later.
I was going to say I've never found anything, but there you go. Found a granola bar or a chocolate bar. Okay. Anyhow, let's get a fire going. Got plenty of matches. We do not want to take any condition damage that we don't have to take.
That's done.
Okay, let's go ahead and add some stuff. Yeah, let's go ahead and add that wheat torch. Frontier shooting guide, useless on Interloper. And we have another book, so I'll just go ahead and toss this in the fuel. Let's get that going. Let's go ahead and get some more water cooking. And start breaking some crates. I usually don't use spray paint in this game. Some people do. And I think it's useful. It may be really good for marking routes, but I tend to know where I leave stuff.
Feels like an empty pit.
So it's just not something that I've found a ton of value in. But I think there are some folks that like to use spray paint. I think it's a really cool mechanic, for sure. I just haven't really gotten into the habit of using it. Let's go ahead. Let's eat. I want to eat because I don't want to take, even though starvation doesn't lose that much condition, I don't want to lose any. Not at this point. We're going to need everything we can for the next day or so. Bandage. Got some stuff needs to be repaired pretty bad. That shirt. That sport vest needs to be repaired. Well, it needs to be replaced, but in the meantime, it needs to be repaired. We don't have much cloth at this time. Okay, we need to add some wood. We added some of that reclaimed wood. Let's break down some more crates. We could even break down that shelf. I don't want to. We could.
I could eat anything.
Or we could break that chair down. Let's see what's the time on that water. To boil now. Okay. 15 minutes. We don't want to just boil it away. Let's break down this crate. Every once in a while, you can find some real goodies hidden away through breaking things down. Let's take that water. Let's go do some more. reclaimed wood. Let's go ahead and do some more of our rose hips. Because we're going to want the warmth of the tea to bring us through. Now, at some point, we'll collect some that we don't just burn, you know, that we keep around for healing properties. But at this point in the game, with the abundance of rose hips and reishi mushrooms just in this zone, we can afford to just be pretty greedy with how we use them. And sometimes there's a fish hook up here too. Not this time. Go ahead and break that shelf down. Okay. There it is until melted. Okay, all right. We're going to go ahead and let this fire burn out. We're good on our condition right now, so I'm going to step outside. Before we turn in for the night, we'll burn some stamina, sprinting around, picking up some more cattails and stuff like that. Because we don't want to be doing any of that.
I need a horse.
When we make our trip to go to the Miner's Folly. We're going to need all of our stamina to make the climbs. We may have to burn a little bit sprinting past the 3 to 4 wolves up there that guard the choke point. So we're not going to want to burn any attention, any condition, any warmth that we don't have to. Go over the left side. They generally don't roam, so there's a gorge right there, straight ahead, and then there's another gorge through that choke point past the Broad Falls. The one straight ahead is a dead end. Well, it's not a true dead end, there's actually a rope. It's a really long rope climb, and it's guarded by 4 wolves. And it's pretty much impossible to get to the rope without drawing the attention of the wolves. So I don't know what the purpose of trying to go there is. There's nothing about it. The climb isn't worth making. You can take the long way around and burn much less stamina to get there. So it's not much of a shortcut at all. One thing I'm curious about is that crate over there. I wonder if there's anything in it. I've never smashed it before. An hour's a long time. I'm not worried about wolves, but we'll lose a lot of condition. But you know what? We've got extra matches. We can probably afford to go ahead and start a fire. I'm willing to give it a shot. We should light the torch first, though. Always use the torch first. And if it's nothing but wood, it's nothing but wood. That's okay. We'll find out. I've just never done it before. This is as good a time as any.
Come on.
Alright, we didn't fail. That's great. That's good. Let's go to twigs. We'll pick up twigs on the way, so that's good. The only thing that'd suck is if a blizzard just blew through here and took the fire out. Okay, so the fire is giving us enough warmth. Let's go ahead and just break this sucker down. Boom. And nothing. Okay. Okay, myth busted. Got some reclaimed wood for our ordeal. Let's go just grab the torch. That's a good one. Nothing in that crate. Go ahead and grab some twigs. Some cattails. I mean, there is just a ridiculous amount of cattail spawns here. So food is really not an option, at least in the short term, or not a concern, at least in the short term. There's just so many cattails. I've never found any items in this boat. There are some boats. There's a boat specifically over by Hibernia Processing on Desolation Point, which I've seen that's had items, but that boat's never had items for me. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and end the run here. We're going to spend the night, and we'll pick it up in the next part. So thanks for watching.